I pray that God will bless you in everything that you do. I pray that you will grow intellectually so that you can understand the problems of the world and where you fit into in that world picture.
The sun vibrates, earth revolves, how can I rise? If I perceive through a calcified third eye, Macabra's looking like paper mache today, and words of wisdom from ancestors are now cliche, blowing like dust away, or metal rust away, doing wrong unto others and got nothing to say. We shackled our slaves, now we wear cuffs today. Wanna make your wife a dyke, you go trust the gay. I am sheep punchlines, make Douglas bust the sway. Knitted times if crochet or custom made. RBG or RG, it's still MST. Getting guards off riddling and pill stamped with E. I go, I made. Youths chat with me on the front lines, and I got no grant with me. All diamonds are bloody, rapping blood clot dummy. Thinking that's real Imhotep playing a movie mummy. Give up a tar dog and call it an Oscar, calling me grouch when I drop the truth on you. Use hip-hop to wake those you call young goats at risk, cause they gun-toed and inhale gum smoke. Mufti shoot, nah, get a neck thumb poke, trying to order me on the 9 to 5 like a slave boat. Master gets nailed to walls like plaster or gyp rock. Illegal tackle in battle or catch a hip rock.
And I pray that all the fear that has ever been in your heart will be taken out. And when you look at that man, if you know he's nothing but a coward, you won't fear him. If he wasn't a coward, he wouldn't gang up on you. That's how they function. They function in mass. That's a coward. They put on a sheet so you won't know who they are. That's a coward. Now, the time will come when that sheet will be ripped off.
It's here to say don't touch my ass, you b-boy cowards. Try that with me, ball in your face like 48 hours. Bloody your nose. Maybe bloody your clothes, kick Satan's ass in Eden's garden and bloody your rose, bloody your spit. I'm just like bronchitis severe, Hex Alpha Omega. I'll make blood of your tears, not on the Mike Tyson style, but I'll bloody your ears. Verbal shotgun blast you and your fam, bloody your peers. Some Pan-Africans ask why they bloody the feds. I say trail of tears is when they bloodied my fez. Without inspection, I see fiction correction. Too much diction and not enough soul reflection. Ages causing confusion from misconceptions. Distractions make lunch drops like turns missed on sessions. File for possessions. I burn up your Wessons. Smith cashing in the bonds, quick to live off pensions. Live off our tensions. I got to mention, give Moore's European names and live off our inventions. Saying I'm black to cash in on bond investments. Saying I'm a Moor, you giving me psycho assessments.
And I pray that all the fear that has ever been in your heart will be taken out. And when you look at that man, if you know he's nothing but a coward, you won't fear him. If he wasn't a coward, he wouldn't gang up on you. That's how they function. They function in mass. That's a coward. They put on a sheet so you won't know who they are. That's a coward. Now, the time will come when that sheet will be ripped off.
Like lipo, hybrids getting under my skin. Boots stomp them like an insect, but not under Tim's. I'm into tinted windows, but not into rims. Pilgrim stole my fez and just added a brim. Stole the tassel, convince you that's a degree. Thinking it's smart with 1 out of 360. Thinking you're hot, but run for nursery and curse me. Cause I run your fried chicken and your beef jerky. Run out your pork rinds, discharge court fines. Bondless, send a letter, make them acquiesce, run the racket. Racketeers with muskets modernized. Most lost their first and use modern eyes. Using words that makes language modified. Children's ain't stealing children, make them traumatized. Homos are doing promos and advertise to the lesbians solo with gay chat lines. MySpace is really their space. Facebook is bait. Locks and pics, but bald-headed, proving you're fake. Saying they're for love, but just want to debate their unintelligence and their lack of knowledge intake.
And I pray that all the fear that has ever been in your heart will be taken out. And when you look at that man, if you know he's nothing but a coward, you won't fear him. If he wasn't a coward, he wouldn't gang up on you. That's how they function. They function in mass. That's a coward. They put on a sheet so you won't know who they are. That's a coward. Now, the time will come when that sheet will be ripped off.
one landmass, I was first. A touchdown rights from birth, I'm not cursed. Still one landmass, I reach Atlantis. Fell in an abyss, now the first land split, Abyssinia. Let's make sense, don't forget. Still one landmass was Kush and Kemet. Branching south and north, east and west. Some stayed the path, some straight in experiments. A few ciphered and many deciphered, cracking sacred generic codes, creating a hybrid. By the time we reach Asia, Nor and Asia saw Kemet fell and made the custodians Moors. You're probably asking what happened to Kush. Into Kemet is where he got pushed. Pyramids of Egypt show our greatness. Put ourselves on the wall so you can't debate this. Back on course, since I navigate giftly. Moors took the Nile back home to the Mississippi. Some took the knowledge of a century shared with Spain. Thought they would see Northwest of Maxim again. By this time the great earthquake shifted earth plates. And Harvard say Europe is their birthplace. When we had Europe, the mountains caucus. Even scientists and politics have meetings caucus. Imagine what you thought real was fake. Imagine what you thought true was a lie. Imagine what you thought real was fake. That's chemtrails, not clouds in the sky. Imagine what you thought real was fake. Imagine what you thought true was a lie. Imagine what you thought real was fake. That's chemtrails, not clouds in the sky. A Moor is a black person, especially Negro, who claimed Jesus, son of God, under a steeple. Moors are Moabites, so was Ruth. Jesus' great-great-grandmother is Ruth. Jesus is a Moabite too, so he was a Moor. Circle 7 was the 5 fish and 2 bread they saw. Buddha is a mind state caused by the mudra. Kali Yuga is the magic of the Kama Sutra. Spirit mother, black sons of God and man. Our niggas on the block with the Glock in hand. Niggas are the Nagas of Angkor Wat. When we lived abundant with bank or not. Here is where we enter new evidence of how the Satan rules, creating current events. Broke the Albion, were the creators, evil scientists that look just like us. Lost their pigmentation, didn't lose the knowledge. Infiltrated the hybrid sea to abolish. It's all in your blood, many watch faces and skin color. Misnomers, classify races. A few learned a lesson, many chose to stay. The rest are just pawns in this global game of commerce. They reverse, we are verse. Fake Arabs that stole the lesson, get you Ali cursed. Imagine what you thought real was fake. Imagine what you thought true was a lie. Imagine what you thought high was low. Imagine what you thought fast was. Imagine what you thought real was fake. Imagine what you thought true was a lie. Imagine what you thought high was low. Imagine what you thought fast was. Put it all together, I have more science. You have blind faith in the story of tyrants. See my fez on me and call me a shrine. Or when its tassel is tacked down, I'm flowing like minor. Hiding in a lodge called Arabic names. Unabridged definition of Arab is my claim. When you say a white man did it, you mean yourself to the ethers. And nations know you don't know yourself and keep us in subjugation. Always retaliation against the wrong enemy and got the wrong remedy. Pulse racing from false education, appearing real with no qualification. You took your knowledge and now you act like a pagan. Worshipping men and rabbits egg laying. It's crazy, will only faze me if I'm lazy. Stay focused on the youth and maybe monkey wrench the plan with thought power. Time is an illusion, Babylon is down in short hours. If Zion is like the Matrix, it's going down too. Agents against Ra get backed in corners like coons. Swing and miss, knock down all your wickets. Rapping words, speaking pro, say I hear crickets. Screw face your brother, but watch the judges' faces. You created them, and now you're nationless. Imagine what you thought real was fake. Imagine what you thought true was a lie. Imagine what you thought high was low. Imagine what you thought fast was.
Islam, Moors. Islam. Africa, mother of Western civilization. Dr. Yosef A.A. Ben Yakinet. Their boy. Their master teacher. Their master teacher. The expulsion of the African Moors came just 7 short years after Christopher Columbus, and his African Moorish chief navigator and captain of the flagship Santa Maria, a native of Morocco, North Africa, set sail for a shorter route to the Far East and ended up in what is today called the West Indies, but which is really the Caribbean. So when the Moors got expelled, according to Dr. Ben, the African Moors, seven short years before, Cristobal Colon had a chief navigator, an African Moorish chief navigator, an African Moorish chief navigator, and then African Moors kicked out of Grenada. And that the chief navigator, who was an African Moor, was a native of Morocco, which is part of North Africa. So Africans and Moors must be the same people. Oh, look at that. Islam Moor. Yo, just say Islam to everybody. Just say Islam to everybody because I'm live right now on YouTube. So just tell everybody Islam and I'll link you later.
Islam Moors, how y'all doing?
Islam. Okay. Yeah, yo. So I'll give you a link back.
Okay, then text me back then. I just want to know about the stuff.
Well, with the books? Which ones?
What's that?
What, the ones from the store?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just got done. They're just there.
No, but you said you want the Constitution done, right?
Oh yeah. Just take that too. If you're going, if you have it and you're going there. If not, I'll get it Sunday.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
What's up?
All right, Mark.
Peace.
Islam. Peace. I was on the grind doing their due. So this chief navigator, native of Morocco, North Africa. Chief navigator, native of Morocco, North Africa. And then Dr. Ben saying African Moors and African Moorish chief navigator. This is Dr. Ben now. This is not Kudro saying something or whatever. This is Dr. Ben. Now, if you're a thinking individual, if you're using your mind, common sense will tell you that Africans are Moors and Moors are Africans because they're the same people. Doesn't matter if one was with Christopher Columbus, doesn't matter if somebody had a harem, doesn't matter if somebody built some library, doesn't matter if they were a bum on the street, they were Moors. All of them. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Funny that people don't like to claim the bad and the ugly. That's why they don't want to be Moors. They don't want to be Moors because they don't want to claim the bad and the ugly. That if we look around, that's what you're doing right now. Right? Remember, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Right now, we're in the ugly period of the bad already passed. You already got cracked out, heroined out, and, entertainment out. So, for them, it's pretty much over. The Negroes are never recovering from the mental slavery we got them under. Never. That's why we do what we do. That's why we put their name in there so that people would, hey, I watch those guys. Let me hear what these guys have to say. Just because we know that there's sinking people out there. It's only going to be a handful, but we know that there's sinking people out there. Common sense will tell you, if Dr. Ben said African Moors, How dare somebody tell you that they're African, but they're not Moors? And they say they study Dr. Ben. Really? You tell me that Dr. Ben didn't lay it down for you people? Well, what was up? Why did he do that? Oh, because he has Moorish studies. That's why he went and he was grand potentate of lodge and all that. Not because he wants to be a Mason. Like, he studied the history of the Moors, realized everything's our shit. You think he was in some lodge as a grand potentate, not teaching the stuff that he has? After all this stuff, he came out with no fez and told you Negroes. What do you think he's telling those dudes up in the lodge? Forget the stuff that you guys heard from Dr. Ben. Forget that stuff. What's the lodge stuff that they're talking about? That's what you should be concerned about, so-called Dr. Ben students. Forget the stuff that the public got. He was a Mason. So that means he has secrets. According to y'all, that's Illuminati and all that. So, all right, so if he's Illuminati, then shouldn't you want to know what he knows? If that's your master teacher and all that stuff, and he's a Mason, why wouldn't you want to know what he knows? Why would you make videos going around that, yeah, I know Dr. Ben and I visited him and gave him money and all this type of stuff, but then you're banging on Masons? But Dr. Ben was a Mason, grand potentate. He wasn't some initiate. This is you guys' master teacher. Oh yeah, and all you clowns out there that call yourself Hebrew Israelites, Dr. Ben, he's original. He's more original than you people who call yourself Hebrew Israelite. He's more Jew than the Ashkenazi and the people who say that they're black, Israelite, whatever. And again, he was a Mason. So what did he know in your Kabbalah stuff? The Jewish Freemasonry. Keep playing. Like, people don't know what's up. Keep playing. What does he really know? If he's a Mason, but he does the African study stuff, and then he's a Jew, but not the Jew from Ashkenaz, the Ethiopian, the original Jew. You really think that he does not know? And remember, he said African Moors. So anybody who calls himself African, shut the hell up, you're Moors. What are you going to bring up? Who are you bringing up? Who? Anybody you bring up, they classify as African. So don't even start bringing up stuff. Shut the hell up and claim that you're Moors. Stop the BS. Listen to the stupid people. Listening to stateless, incompetent, civilly dead people as your teacher. Nationalist is not a nationality. You're Moors. Stop playing stupid. How are you sitting bull and bulls don't sit? You seen a bull sit down yet? You ever see a bull sit down? Find me a bull that sat down, and I'll hear what you're saying. You're not no nationalists. You're African Moors. How much times do you have to get slapped with the fact that you're Moors before you say you're Moors? How much? Well, like, how much more do you want? What do we really have to do? But, you know, it ain't no thing because we already know only a handful saved. We have a prophet. He already laid that stuff down to us. This is just, you know, us just linking up because everybody can't be on the phone at the same time. Whoever else is on the outside, they think that they know something or whatever. Hey, you come in, you might learn something. Instead of listening to these backwards dummies out here that you're claiming know something. When their own master teacher told them that they're Moors and he's a Mason, not just mere Mason, grand potentate. Oh, but they're having a problem with Masons. Interesting. Very interesting. The final expulsion of the Africans, Arabs, and African Arabs from Granada, Spain, initiated another chain of victories by Europeans over the Africans until they were partially checked in 1957. Partially checked. So don't say about some empire fell and all that stuff. Ain't no Moroccan empire fell. Partially. And who are they? Africans, Arabs, and African Arabs. Who the hell are you guys fooling? This is Dr. Ben. This is not Kudrow talking. Just so put it on the record. And like Morris said, this is basic. Again, we're reading from Dr. Ben's book, right? Now, the book that we have called Africa, Mother of Western Civilization, orange with Africa on it. This is partially what he knew. All this is just some of the stuff. Then you go check all his other books and he's making the same point. Why is he making this point? Oh yeah, he studied Moorish history. Now you see why all the people who called themselves scholars during that time repped him. They were probably all up in the lodge too. Imagine that. Imagine everybody, because remember, James Small even came on the record and said that he's a Mason. And what they were really doing was taking back the mystery system. Think about it. The Leonard Jeffries, the Del Jones, the Steve Coakleys, the Ashraquazis. Some way, some shape, some form, they were part of some type of Mason, whatever. It might not have been European. Might not have been European at all. No European stuff. But trust me, when they go to the meetings, they got their fezzes up. They got their sash. They got their gloves, whatever it is that they're getting down with. People are going to play. We already know people are going to play. Right? That's why in the last video, we brought back some of Liam clips. Because people are stupid. Still stupid. They love these ego Negroes. They love them. Right? They love them. And hey, don't get it. Oh, listen, if we're going to bring up NOI, let me say something. Find this thing. If we're going to bring up NOI, just remember Joseph X declared and proclaimed his nationality. He's Yusuf Bey now. So don't bring up NOI and talk about, oh, they get a pass because Pharaoh and whoever talked about them, they don't have the right to talk about them. Forget all that BS. How come everybody else up there is not Bey or L or whatever? How come just Joseph X, Muhammad Ali, and whoever few other people got the Bey and the L up? And all these people talking about their 800X. Think they don't know what's up? Think this thing shouldn't have been over freaking the 60s? Because, you know, because of Noble Drew Ali's assassination and Marcus Garvey's deportation, there's going to be a lull of activity. So, okay, 60s was the next time that it really peaked. Could have been done then, because these dudes, remember, they're 30s. So during the lull, after Garvey and Noble Drew Ali, NOI was supposed to take up the reins because they were the next people up to bat. And they got the perfect pitch for a home run and pop fly. Pop fly? You went all-star team and all that stuff. Bat 500 and all that. And you pop fly. And then now some people are talking BS. And then now they want to stand up and defend something? What do you mean you're standing up and defending something? You're defending some BS, the Pharoah and Seti BS? That's what you guys are defending? All these shootings going around, these men never did one stand up and defend something. But somebody talk about the minister and all that. Oh, now these men are standing up now. Now we're seeing them show their true colors. Because the fight's over. Why? Because the real enemy is on the inside of the fence. You're so busy, like a dummy, looking outside. All these clues right here. Joseph X say Yusuf Bey. Like you tell me that's not. You tell me that they don't know. Let's play that. If you guys want to play stupid. You're telling me that they don't know? Captain said, forget that stuff there that you guys are talking about. Right? The relevance is that these people know. So don't get caught up in the whole thing of like they're against each other now. Then there's going to be a debate, Pharoah and Seti versus some NOI guy about if Farrakhan's a legit teacher. Forget that BS. All those people learn from Noble Drew Ali. Why don't you just debate that? And then there's nothing to debate because those people say that they rep Garvey. And Garvey and Drew Ali were connected. So, what? African Moors, right? And then they tell you the Negroes, the Africans, right? Okay, well, that means Negroes are Moors then. If Negroes are Africans, then Negroes would be Moors. If blacks are Africans, then blacks are Moors. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by views. Views don't mean nothing. High views actually might prove incompetence. Not on the person who's doing the relaying of the message. It's time to flick the dum-dum switch and start thinking. You know, according to Abdullah El Talib Mozi Bey, that Dr. Ben has a doctorate in Moorish history. Dr. Ben has a doctorate in Moorish history. They ain't no because of Abdullah said. Man had his doctorate before Abdullah. Stop the games. Not the playing around, avoiding. Why you avoiding? Why you avoid the tackle? Don't avoid the tackle. Take the hit. You got pads on. Why are you avoiding the tackle? You don't even have the ball. Avoiding. Don't avoid it. Deal with the fact. Deal with the fact that Africans are Moors. Dr. Ben said it. Elijah Muhammad was a flag bearer of the Moor Science Temple of America, if you didn't know. And he's in pictures at the convention. So is Fard. Stop playing. Why'd Captain Joseph X correct his name to Yusuf Bey? Why you ask yourself that question? Ask yourself that question. How is it? How is it? We already know only a handful saved and have fingers left over. So don't even get this twisted. Like we're expecting to reach some 20,000. 20,000 what? This is not the zombie side. Zombies don't come over on this side. We have the electric fence and all that. Ain't no zombies coming over here. These were those people who've been pretending like zombies, trying to get through the thing, and you did the secret, and we let you in. Now again, we have a prophet by the name of Noble Drew Ali. Right? So we already took the African mother of civilization, right, and wrapped them on their knuckles with the spine of the book. All right? Because people need to start getting licks again. That's what the problem is. Nobody's getting licks. Nobody's getting licks. Everybody's just doing whatever they want to do. Violating on some supreme levels and no licks. You just get sent to your room with your PlayStation and whatever. And your TV and your flat screen and all the BS. 500 iPods and whatever. If somebody is telling you that they are against Islam, if somebody's telling you that they're against Islam and anything Islamic, and Moors are Islamic, so we're against Moors, when they tell you that they're against Islam, they better not have a banner behind them talking about Allah on it. And then tell you, GoFundMe so we could get a new banner to take Allah off the banner. If they're telling you F Islam, make sure that behind them, their banner doesn't say Allah on it. And then also too, Allah as an acronym. As soon as they start with the more hating and they go religious, no, are automatically in your mind, automatically have it in your mind that these people are exoteric thinkers. That's the only reason they would be against religion, because their mindset is exoteric. And if their mindset is exoteric, that means they are not reaching complete unfoldment. They are not reaching complete unfoldment. Right? Do not take it for granted that because people look like you, it's because people look like you, right? That they're in your best interest. Don't don't get it caught up, please, because start talking bad about Islam. Start talking and they start talking BS about Islam without a shadow of a doubt, know that they're against peace. Know that they're against peace. As soon as they start talking like that, remember who talks against Islam when you look at the world stage. Remember who talks about Islam. The same quote unquote cracker white man that they're trying to convince you is the enemy. But he has a war with Islam too. You tell me they're not working on the same side? Do you really think that they're working in your best interest when they're doing the same tactics that the big people against Islam are doing? But these guys they ain't nobody. Because we're Moors. We go back generations. We're not some just came here yesterday on a slave ship Negroes. We're not them. We've been here. These guys just came here and they're trying to tell you about what's up here. What do you mean? They just came here on a slave ship. Why are you listening to them? What the hell do they know? Why don't they go back to where they came from and talk BS? Why are they coming to Morocco to talk BS? Why don't they go back where they came from? Oh, they can't go back where they came from because they're Africans from over here. Moors from over here. But they don't want to be that. They want to be everything else. And then talk against their own religion that they have on their banner behind them while they're telling you F Islam. They're telling you F Islam and they're wearing Mecca shirts. While they're telling you F Islam, their shirt that they're wearing on them says Mecca on it. And like Cousin Jeff said, you know what I mean? BT knows that people are stupid. So they feed them whatever. You got to do with ratings. Let's do it dumb down on people. Exact same thing that these people are doing. Dumbing you down to the point that you really think that they're against Islam when behind them the banner says Allah on it. Think how dumb you are. Think how dumb you are. No different than the drug dealers. They get raided, then they fund police operations to violate their people because they're too dumb. They still think it's about that papers, fiat. But as soon as they get that in their hand, they should have paid off everybody's mortgage in the hood. It's called liquidating. Get rid of the stuff. But it's because of stupidity and ignorance and incompetence and mental slavery and lies being told. Why these basic things our people don't know. They can't even see now. Forget about 10 years ago, they couldn't see this. As people start waking up to what's going on, whoever's left, the clamp gets tighter around them. And then as some more get out, clamp gets tighter around them. So we're putting it on the record. As soon as they say they're against Islam, one, know that they work with the same people who you're complaining about is the cracker and the white man. They're working with them just because they're saying they're against Islam. And two, that really what they're against is peace. And if they're against peace, then they could only be for one thing. What is Islam? Islam is a very simple faith. It requires man to recognize his duty toward God Allah, that what he has on his banner behind him, his creator and his fellow creatures. It teaches the supreme duty of living at peace with one's surroundings. It is preeminently the religion of peace. The very name Islam means peace. The goal of man's life, according to Islam, is peace with everything, peace with Allah, and peace with man. These people do not want this. They are not for peace. They are not for peace. If they were for peace, they wouldn't be talking how they're talking. If they were for peace, they wouldn't be speaking the way that they speak. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, tells us that the final abode of man is the house of peace, where no vain word or sinful discourse will be heard. The holy divine prophet Noble Drew Ali says that a follower of Islam, in the true sense of the word, is one whose hands, tongues, and thoughts do not hurt others. The object of man's life, according to Islam, is his complete unfoldment. Why would somebody be against that? Why would someone be against man's complete unfoldment? He must want man to be his serf. He must want man to be his. Wants to be owned. Islam teaches that man is born with unlimited capacities for progress. Islam does not support the idea that man was born in sin. Right? And then that's etymology. Because it has nothing to do with being bad and all that stuff. Islam does not support the idea that man was born missing the mark. You have your own time and space. That's yours. From that place where you were born, you're going to unfold into an infant, and then unfold into a child, and unfold into a teen, and unfold into an adult, unfold into a spiritual being, Super Saiyan, whatever it is, however you're going to unfold. But you were born not without a purpose. You weren't born not without a reason for being here. Remember, your unfoldment, and not just your unfoldment, your complete unfoldment. You know, complete unfoldment. It teaches that everyone has within him the seed of perfect development, and it rests solely with himself to make or mark his fortune. It's all on you. It's like we had this teacher. We had this teacher in grade, I think it was 12 or 13. And in her class, you start with 100. In her class, you start with 100. That you're already perfect. But you're the one that's going to bring yourself from 100 to 2%. And then you're mad. People are racist and stuff like that. And that's why, no, you just didn't apply yourself because you had 100. What you mean you got 2 now? The cardinal doctrine of Islam is the unity of the Father Allah, who we know one God. Allah, who is all God, all mercy, all power. He is perfect and holy, all wisdom, all truth, and a truth. These are some of his great attributes. So first we can understand. He is free from all defects, holy and transcendent. He is personal to us insofar as we see his attributes working for us, and in what he is, nevertheless, impersonal, because he is infinite, perfect, and holy. We know that death, decay, nor sleep overtakes him. Neither do we believe that he is a helpless cave and inert force. Nothing happens without his knowledge and will. He neither befits nor is he begotten, because these are the traits of frail and weak humanity. Weak humanity. You must be in a very low, weak place to be against peace. To think that so much is lost that you have to even be against peace, you must come from the father of demons. There's no way that you're a sentient being. There's no way that you're a sentient being slapping your chest saying that you're proud to be civil liter mortus. There's no way you're slapping your chest saying you're proud to be stateless. The unity of Allah is the first and foremost pillar of Islam, and every other belief hangs upon it. Islam, very simple. Very simple. Right? Yeah, they're definitely neck deep in it. Right? Now, since somebody brought up Masons and Masonic groups and Shriners and all that stuff there, let's also tie in the background thing with the guy on it that's wearing the Egyptian stuff, and then they're calling themselves Egyptian names and stuff like that. Right? Because they're supposed to be against Masonry. They're not supposed to be riding with it. Because remember, they say that, you know, the Fez was brought by Masons. That would mean the stuff that they taught was brought by them to the Egyptians. Remember the logic, right? The logic is that the fez that Masons wear was brought by them through some Turks, some Ottoman Empire or whatever. The stuff that the Masons study is supposedly from ancient Egypt. But since Europeans are the founders of Freemasonry, and the studying of Freemasonry includes the knowledge that's supposed to be from ancient Egypt, they're saying that the Europeans founded that too, the science of Freemasonry. Because wearing a fez is a science. That's not just put some stuff on your head. There's a science behind that. Why the tassel's tacked down, why it even has a gold clip on it. The length of the tassel that's tacked down. What's written on the fez. It's not just some glittering stuff they have on the fez. They're practicing the science. Why are they doing it? Because people want to be everything except their ancient foremothers and forefathers. Why ancient Egypt? The uneducated, with no interest in mystical traditions, and the esoteric may regard ancient Egypt as little more than a place of pagan worship, strange hieroglyphics, and monuments erected by thousands of Hebrew slaves. But those more learned, especially those having undertaken the initiative rituals of Freemasonry, will see a link between the Egyptian metaphysical tradition and modern mystery schools, of which Freemasonry is one. Remember, we're talking about Masonry right now. And they're saying that there's a link between Egyptian metaphysical tradition and Freemasonry. So if that's the case, how could they hang an Egyptian banner behind them? How could they have anything relative to ancient Egypt? Why are they wearing ankhs and all of that if they're against masonry? Because according to them, European brought the fez. So if the European brought the fez, then the European had to bring the science too. Because the fez doesn't come without the science. Oh, but you're going to say that the stuff is ancient. So there's no way that the Europeans brought the science. Okay, so then why is there a way that the European brought the fez? The fez and the science is like history and law. They go together. As soon as you separate them, you don't even have the story. Whole stuff messed up now. This is so people can put things into perspective so they can start thinking for themselves instead of having these people think for them. Right? Johnny Boy, Canaanland Guide, Canaanland GUIDE at gmail.com. Canaanlandguide@gmail.com. Anybody else who got questions, send your questions to the email and we'll answer you just like how we're doing this live. Masonic teaching centers on its initiation rituals. Each of Freemason's 3 degrees takes the candidate through a journey steeped in history, symbolism, and allegory to teach him lessons of how to raise his divine spark, realize his relationship to a higher power, God, Grand Architect, Supreme Being, etc., and live a life of moral rectitude. Now, if there's a problem with that, if we know that Europeans are the devil, the Europeans are the devil, right? It would probably be wise to put them in a lodge. Because by them going to the lodge, they teach him lessons of how to raise his divine spark, which we all know if more Europeans had the mindset of superiority complex toned down a bit, they just brought it down a little bit by realizing their divine spark, that, you know, you really have a position. You can't assume a position that's not really you, like how Rothschild did to be who he is and all that stuff, right? You have to tap into something. So that's a good thing. I don't see anything wrong with that. The Freemasonry is teaching Europeans how to raise their divine spark. All right. They're on the way somewhere. Realize his relationship to a higher power. So the devil is going to have to realize his relationship to a higher power. Which, you know, we can't reform the devil, but, you know, all we're trying to get to do is raise him to some moral rectitude. We just want to raise his frequency. Look at things from a different perspective. I don't see anything wrong with that personally, if that's what the lodge is there for. Occult scholar Louis Spence tells of the same goal of initiation in ancient Egypt. The purpose of initiation is a conventional attempt to raise man's place in the universe and in the divine scheme of things. And for this, I believe, the Egyptian mystery system achieved for the first time in an orderly and philosophical manner. Have we no lessons to learn from Egypt? I, the greatest in the world, the knowledge of that divine introspection, which alone can give man the likeness of the divine. Masonic author Albert Mackey believed in a relationship between modern Freemasonry and ancient Egypt. Wrote Mackey, the identity of design and method in the two systems, as illustrated by the division into steps, classes, or degrees, to which both were subjective: lustration, initiation, and perfection. The widow's son. Another link between modern Freemasonry and Egypt is the Isis-Osiris story that formed the crux of the ancient Egyptian belief system. In the Egyptian rites, Horus is the savior avenger, son of Isis, magically conceived through ritual after the brutal murder of her husband/brother Osiris. We can apply this myth to modern Freemasonry allegory of the murder of Hiram Abiff, the chief architect of Solomon's temple. Isis made a widow by Osiris's murder. Freemasons are called widow's sons. Gives birth through initiation ritual to Horus, the Redeemer raised solely that me may avenge and the destruction of wisdom and restore peace, harmony, and just good, to whom there is no death, the divine spark within. So how are they claiming that they're not down with Masonry, but the Masons are studying the same stuff that they have on their banner behind them, which is Islam and ancient mysteries of Egypt? Other similarities between Freemason and Egyptian mystery schools are seen in certain Masonic symbols and initiatic procedures. So you're going to look up the similarity in symbols and teachings between Freemasonry and Egyptian mystery schools. The cable tow. That's one thing you're going to look. The cable tow. The white apron. These are the things that you're going to look up in the Freemasonry stuff to find the similarity in ancient Egypt. The white apron. The triangle of divine spark. The triangle of divine spark. The point within a circle. Remember, all these things that are Masonic, have a foundation in ancient Egyptian mysteries, which George G.M. James told all you people who claim you know something, that the Moors were the custodians of the ancient Kemetic culture, the ancient mysteries of the Egyptians, the science and culture of the Africans. The Moors were the custodians of that. the honeycomb, and keeping hush or keeping quiet. Conclusions of Masonic authorities. Conclusions of Masonic authorities. Traditions of Freemasonry, page 159. Traditions of Freemasonry, page 159. The legend and traditions of Hiram Abiff form the consummation of the connecting link between Freemasonry and the ancient mysteries. The legend and traditions of Hiram Abiff form the consummation of the connecting link between Freemasonry and ancient mysteries. Two, we readily recognize in Hiram Abiff the Osiris of the Egyptians. We readily recognize in Hiram Abiff the Osiris of the Egyptians. And that's the same book, page 240, Traditions of Freemasonry. Daniel and Sickles, Freemason's Guide, page 236. Daniel and Sickles, Freemason's Guide, page 236. Osiris and the Tyrian architect Hiram Abiff are one and the same. Once again, Osiris and the Tyrian architect Hiram Abiff are one and the same. The Ahiman resin, the Ahiman, Ahiman resin, Rezon. Daniel Sickles. That part of the rite, Master Mason initiation, which is connected with the legend of the Tyrian artist Hiram Abiff, should be studied as a myth and not as a fact. Outside of Masonic tradition, there is no proof that an event such as is related in connection with the temple builder ever transpired. And besides, the ceremony is older by more than 1,000 years than the age of Solomon. It is thoroughly Egyptian. It is thoroughly Egyptian. What do you think I got stuff? You go check some of these other Moors. These other Moors libraries. You think Kudrow got books? Go check some of these Moors libraries, who they go to the thrift store every week, that the lady puts aside their books. Talk to those Moors libraries. Talk to those Moors who find those deals where it's $2 a book. Good books, not just some BS. Good books, $2. Talk to them boys. See who got books. The legend of Hiram Abiff is thoroughly Egyptian and is closely allied to the supreme rite of the Isianic mysteries, Isianic. Isianic mysteries, mystery religion of Isis and Osiris. Albert Mackey, Lexicon of Freemasonry. Lexicon of Freemasonry, Albert Mackey. The legend of Hiram Abiff is thoroughly Egyptian. Thoroughly Egyptian? So if the story of Hiram Abiff is thoroughly Egyptian, that would mean that Freemasons studied Egyptian mysteries. So if Freemasons studied Egyptian mysteries, why are these guys mad? Freemasons. Like, why are you mad? Why are they mad at Masons? Can't be mad at Masons because you don't want to accept the fact that they're using your stuff better than your dumbass because you want to be Negro and black and all this BS. Don't get mad at them. Get mad at yourself. All the people who's chasing you, be mad at yourself. It's really what it comes down to. Conclusion. It seems clear that Hiram Abiff of Freemasonry is not a historical character and certainly not a biblical one. Rather, he actually represents Osiris, the Egyptian sun god, and the reenactment of the legend of Hiram Abiff is actually the reenactment of the legend of Osiris. Thus, each sincere man who is initiated into the third degree of Masonry impersonates Osiris and enters into the life of good deeds, his death, his burial, and is quote-unquote raised in his resurrection from the dead. With this understood, it is then easy to understand the statement in the Kentucky Monitor, Handbook for all Blue Lodge Masons of the Grand Lodge of Kentucky, that while the Christian Messiah is called Jesus, the Masons' Messiah is called Hiram. What stuff they know? And you're hating? Hating. How are you hating? Hating because the Egyptians are North Africans too, which means that they're African, which means that they're Moors. And you guys thought you had them too, but no, they're on the Moorish side. Egypt's the capital dominion of the Moorish Empire. The hell are you guys talking about? Egypt is the capital dominion. You know how U.S. has a capital, it's called Washington and all that BS? All right. The Moorish Empire capital was Egypt. This is why when you go to the lodge, these Freemasons are talking about Egyptian and Arabic, Islamic and ancient mysteries together as one thing in their whole stuff. Their whole ideal called Freemasonry is based in Moorish history, Moorish culture, Moorish science, ancient Egyptian history, ancient Egyptian culture, ancient Egyptian science. All our stuff. All our stuff. Like all ours. These people are telling you not to go study what the Masons got. Well, they're ruling the world with what they got, so why not study them? Then we're going in the coffin and boinking each other and all that stuff. That's not the science. That's the little boy toy rituals. That ain't the science. Anybody doing that for no science? That's some pleasure. That's some sexual stuff these guys like to do with their little free time. The science, ain't nothing to do with that. So all that stuff there, throw that away. Don't even worry about that. That's why you could bring up Brother Abdullah now. mooresandmasonry.org. Go get the book, Moors and Masonry, so you could really have a perspective. Not this illusionary perspective that we have right now. Because we're listening to incompetent, civilly dead people claim that they know something because they have a camera on their stuff. People don't know anything, they're incompetent. This is why we do this. Because we know it's only a handful saved. With fingers left over. So don't get it twisted like this is for views. Just like we're saying at Temple. Doors open. You come when you want. You know what I mean? You don't want to come, hey, that's on you. You know what I mean? Can't say the door wasn't open. Can't say you weren't told. Whatever you do after that, hands clean. No fear, no guilt. No worries about anything because hands clean. Kwame Nantambu. Dr. Kwame Nantambu. Freemasonry, ancient Egyptian communal way of life. The word free means without hindrance. The word mason refers to one who builds, a bricklayer. As such, Freemasonry is that system, craft, or art of building. Not a physical building, but building spiritual, an edifice within the human being. The ancient Kemites, Africans, Egyptians, and then we just put / Moors, referred to this spiritual concept as the temple in man. Remember, all this is part of what Noble Drew Ali presented to the Moors when you go read the Holy Quran, and then you find out that, quote unquote, Jesus went to study in Egypt. What did he go there for? To go learn the ancient mysteries, the same stuff that they got in the Freemasonry. Oh yeah, Jesus wasn't real. Yeah, okay, Yahshua. The brother, who you know was a reformer. Right? In addition, one must reject the misnomer that has been bandied about for untold centuries, known as the mystery system or Egyptian mysteries. The fact of the matter is that if someone invents something, then how is that invention a mystery to the inventor? The invention is only a mystery to the second, third party, onlooker, visitor, outsider. The ancient Kemites, Africans, Egyptians / Moors never called their system the mystery system. The Greeks, world's first Europeans, who went to Kemet to study at the Temple of Waset, world's first university, in the BC era, called this African Kemetic system the Egyptian mysteries because it was a mystery to them, not the Kemites. African peoples are the world's original peoples. Remember, Africans are Moors, right? So Moorish people are the world's original people with original ideas and the world's original master thinkers and teachers. This ancient Egyptian spiritual system evolved over 1,200 years and 50 generations. This system and way of life predates the highly organized groups of the Roman Empire or the Roman Collegia, the French Masons of the 17th and 18th century, and the Masonic lodges in the early American colonies. I'll say European colonies because American colonies is an oxymoron. The ancient Kemites are the first to develop a communal way of life and being based on a moral code of ethics and human behavior with which to live by. These moral code of ethics existed thousands of years before the Holy Quran or Holy Bible. Hence, it is no small wonder that Jesus the Christ, or the Anointed One, left home at age 13 to be about his father's business and went to study these ancient Kemetic African Egyptian Moorish moral code of ethics at the Temple of Waset. Therefore, the teachings of Jesus the Christ came out of ancient Kemet, Africa, Egypt. Need more? Or is still in doubt? All right. See, still in doubt. Still in doubt. This is for the ones who have a problem with the fez. Clock of Destiny, Volume 1, page 45. The headdress of our Moorish forefathers. The red fez with the symbol of the crescent and star or moon without the symbol of the sword is the headdress of the Moors in this hemisphere. The Moorish fez represents the supreme height of wisdom and practical knowledge of the science of the 12 signs of the zodiac, the universal law and constitution upon which civilization is founded. Today, the red fez of the cultured Moors is worn by white sons, quote unquote, wizards of the Order of Christ, namely the Protestants, Methodists, Baptists, and the Jewry or Jewish of the United States of America. The red fez worn by these sons have the star and crescent with the symbol of a sword worn by these sons have the star and crescent with the symbol of a sword on top, which represents the subjugation of the Moorish woman. The red fez worn by these sons have the star and crescent with the symbol of a sword on top, which represents the subjugation of the Moorish woman. The Moorish woman. See how these patriarchs do you? You see how these patriarchs play with you? Because they keep telling you that that's the head of a black man that they got the sword over. The black man's head, they put the black man's head under the sword. When that's the Moabite woman. And what is that? When you go look at that, she's dressed like a pharaoh. Why? Because pharaohs were women, not men. Matriarch always ruled in our culture. Matriarch always ruled in our culture. Oh, Islam to all the mothers. Peace and love to you all, especially if you're not incompetent and not civilly dead. Islam to you. The term Mason implies master or messenger, which simply means one who possesses scientific knowledge of the works of nature as shown in the 12 signs of the zodiac. Such knowledge makes one conscious of the fact that his universal mind makes him free to propagate truth contrary to secrets, falsehood, and imperialism. Conscious of the fact that his universal mind makes him free. Now check this play. Check this play. The Sundry Free Moors made their claim that they don't want to be tried under the Negro Acts, but also under the laws of free blacks. Why wouldn't they want to be under the jurisdiction of free blacks either? They're free. Or they're not free if they're black. They're not free if they're black. They didn't even want to be under the jurisdiction of the free blacks. That's how. That's how you know that it's a fraud. Because even if you're black and you're free, you're still not free. Ask the Sundry Free Moors, who knew what it was to free. Who knew what it was to be free. And they didn't do that BS like what you see Abkare Bay's man's doing right now, talking BS about people. You know what the Sundry Free Moors did? They went and bought their wives' freedom. Like real Moors. They don't complaining about somebody did something or whatever to their wife or whatever like that. They went and they bought their wife's freedom. Said, forget you slave masters. We got this. We got this. Right? And then Halliwell, Dictionary of Archaic and Provincial Words. Halliwell, Hallywell, Halliwell. Nah, I'm reaching. Halliwell, Dictionary of Archaic and Provincial Words. Morkut. Oh, we'll go this way. More palm, the flower of the dock. More master, the same as barmaster. Moorish, wishing for more. Oh. Moorish means wishing for more? Moor gallop, a sudden squall across the moors. Moor gallop, a sudden squall across the moors. Moor coot, a moor hen. Moor, to void blood. A heath, common, or wasteland. In Suffolk, any unenclosed ground. A bailiff of a farm. And I bet your dictionary was $2. It's so unfair, you know, that our people, in their state of ignorance, really needing some inspiration, have to be victim to individuals who want to keep them in mental slavery. Like they want to keep them in mental slavery. Right? But we're here to free you. Because ain't nobody got no secrets and all that stuff. 2018 freaking internet, YouTube and stuff like that. What secrets these people got? What secrets? When you start seeing Moors more than, once a week or whatever, say something is going on. When you start connecting with Moors and you get on the phone with the Moor and then you look outside and the sun's rising up or whatever, you know that, oh yeah, stuff's on. You know that it's on. When you just go to a store and whoever store owner says, hey, nice hat, you know that it's on. Origin of the term Mason. Clock of Destiny 2. Because we don't have secrets. Ain't no secrets going on. I mean, don't let these people play games with you. There's no secret societies. Illuminati only means enlightened. Occult means hidden. Like, don't let these people make you be a dumbass. Don't let them do it to you. For your sake. Forget anybody else. Just for your sake, so that you can be perceived as competent when you deal with the world. Don't endanger your life with these fools. Origin of the term Mason. The term Mason is derived from woman, son, meaning woman and son. WO is negative, womb, and man is positive, meaning the powers of the womb of female are responsible for the creation of sons in the course of 9 months, which makes women supreme master creators of both female and sons from unformed matter planted by another son of a female. Phrased together spells womb, man, sons, or woman and sons. WO was struck out, right? WO was struck out. WO was struck out. The scimitar above the head, WO was struck out. Like, this is proving that it's a sister up there, not a male. So don't let these people fool you into thinking that that's a pharaoh head and they're cutting off the pharaoh head because they don't like black guys. That's incompetence talking. That's the Moabite woman. The Moabite woman is the WO before man, because every man is a son. He's not a man. Every man is a son. So they took WO out. This is how you know that these people are patriarchal pimping. Because they're trying to convince you that the scimitar is over a man's head. When science would tell you that if the Masons were going to take over our science, they would have to get the woman out of the way, because she's the one that had all this. She is the science. WO was struck out and N was struck out, leaving Ma. WO was struck out and N was struck out. WO was struck out and N was struck out. Yes, exactly. N is the nationality that was taken away from the Moors, and they got classified as Negro, black, colored. At that point, my son now has the power, because they got women out the way and they got the nationality out the way. Because remember, M is more. Don't. The man himself. The man himself. The man. The God. He's not really God. He's a son. He doesn't have the power that he claims that he has. Only way he gets power is through her. That's why when we check all the ancient foremothers and forefathers, they always honored women. There wasn't a time that they did not honor women. There's not a time. WO was struck out and N was struck out, leaving Ma, phrased with son, which spells Mason. Thus, woman, sons, and child reproduction comprise the great triangle, 3 in 1, of universal supreme creation of humanity. Woman has no father and neither husband, for all males sprung from her. All males sprung from her, right? And then if we, all males sprung from her. Remember again, woman, sons and child, reproduction, comprise the great triangle, 3-in-1, of universal supreme creation of humanity. Oh yeah, keep in mind, we're talking about the origin of the term Mason right now, which has to do with Freemasonry and Illuminati and secret societies trying to take over the world, and the pyramid on the dollar, and then the eye and 13 bricks of the 13 olive branches, and they're gonna... That ain't what's going on. These people are playing around with you. This is your science that they took. Have you like a dummy out here. Woman has no father and neither husband, for all males sprung from her. Where woman comes from, no one knows. This makes her a widow. Where she come from? No one knows where she came from. No one knows where she came from. No one knows where she came from? How come no one knows where she came from? The Moorish nation, Latin surnames, Bey and El. These surnames are the Moorish descendants of America without legal due process. Your Moorish nationality and name, Bey and El, comprise your birthrights, which will change you from being a USA Negro slave to a respected citizen. Bey means Lord of the earth, meaning subdue the earth and make it yield all of the necessities of livelihood. Thus the earth obeys. Islam means I am the great. I am, namely you and me, woman and sons. Woman and son and child. Not woman and father and all that BS. Forget all that BS. Woman and son and child. Because no matter how old you are, no matter how long your stuff is, and how low your balls hang, you're still a son. So don't ever disrespect mother. Ever. Because she's a widow. She's in mourning. You know what you're going to get. You already know a woman scorned and all that stuff and you playing around. El means the center of wisdom or gravity, the law of attraction and the power of the human mind. Education. Oh, this one is for people who have banners behind them that say Islamic stuff. Allah means the Moorish woman. Young Pharaoh, the Moorish woman. Makes sense because Pharaoh is a woman. But then why is that guy using that as... Allah means the Moorish woman. And then young Pharaoh Allah. And Allah is a Moorish woman, but they're against Moors. Like, why? How are you against Moors? How are the Moors next on the list when you're calling yourself a Moorish woman? So you're a Moorish woman and you have a problem with Moors. Oh, you're a Chilean. There's problems with Chileans. You don't want Chileans to be Chileans. You want them to be, you know, South Africans. Because that's really who they are. They're not really Chileans. And you're trying to convince them that they're not Chileans, but you have the name and the culture and the practices of a Chilean. But you're telling them they're South African. Okay. Allah means the Moorish woman, who is the mother of modern humanity. And, maybe they're a mother of modern humanity. Maybe they're hermaphrodite or something like that because they got their little slick down sideburns and stuff. Maybe they are Allah. Maybe they really are Allah. Allah means the Moorish woman, who is the mother of modern humanity, male and female of all different shades of skins or colors. Al-Quran means the chronological record of the Moorish nation, namely the science of the 12 signs of the zodiac, the universal law and constitution, geometry, the square and angle of 90 degrees. Huh? Al-Quran means the chronological record of the Moorish nation, namely the 12 signs of the zodiac. Now, let me see something now. Now, Quran means the 12 signs of the zodiac, the chronological record of the Moorish nation, but I'm pretty sure those people have a solar return, which means that they're part of the 12 signs of the zodiac, which is a Moorish chronological record. Now, because nobody's ever spoke about this before, nobody's ever spoke about the 12 signs of the zodiac being a Moorish chronological record. So being that, because nobody ever spoke about Arab Moors and Asian Moors and stuff like that, like Dr. Ben, we give him his honors. So, okay, so we give CMB his honors. So he's addressing to us that the 12 signs of the zodiac is a Moorish chronological record. And if Moors are Africans, then Africans are ancient Egyptians, and ancient Egyptians' spiritual system was taught by Masons. How could some Moor-hating people not be Moors and not want anything to do with Masons when all that stuff comes from the ancient Egyptian stuff that they rep? They wear ankhs and all that. You still think these people aren't playing with you? You keep thinking they're not playing. Keep thinking that they're not playing. Keep thinking they're not playing. So, you've been told by these incompetent, civilly dead people that Islam came from Freemasons. Islam is not your religion. Matter of fact, you shouldn't even subscribe to a religion because it's brainwashed and all this stuff. Islam. The crescent and the star. The banner of the crescent and the star, or the flag with the moon and the 5-point star in the center, is the insignia of the Asiatic or Moorish nation. It is the mother of all national banners of the world today because it is the oldest. Now, what's older than a moon and stars? Anything on the earth plane? Probably not. So anybody on the earth plane claiming that they brought something for you, and then when you go check their logo or their insignia and it's merely some earth plane stuff, these people are playing you. Forget them and the BS that they're trying to play you with. Because you have, as an Asiatic, a moon and a 5-point star, which is your nation's insignia. So if your nation's insignia is in the universe. What does that mean about you? Oh, you know what? Don't even, just go ask Rick Smith. Let him tell you. Let him tell you. If they're so against Islam, then they're against I, which is crescent, moon, and 5-point star, which represents Venus. So if these individuals are against the universe, you might not want to be around them when the universe gets them back. Just a warning. That's a warning. When the universe gets them back for them going against the universe, don't be around them people. Don't be at the Seti lecture when meteor decides to fall on Seti. Don't be at that lecture. Islam. S. The pyramid. Illuminati pyramid. They're gonna come and take your soul because the Illuminati. Oh, no, it's not that serious. It is not that serious. The pyramid is an example of perfect orientation. It is self. The pyramid is also built upon a square, just as man is born on the square. The square base is a constant reminder that the house of wisdom is firmly founded upon nature and her immutable laws. The angles of the square are silence, profundity, intelligence, and truth. The angles of the square are silence, profundity, intelligence, and truth. They also represent the extremities of heat and cold, south and north, and light and darkness, east and west. Heat and cold, south and north, light and darkness, east and west. Man is a fourfold unit concerning the elements of his own constitution, and the earth, fire, air, and water are one of the fundamental keys to the mystery of the Great Pyramid. Islam is not some religion to Moors. When you hear Moors say Islam, don't think that that's some religious stuff. We're going to go every 6 hours, go do our salat. Or we're going to be kissing some black stones, or we're going to be at some wailing wall or some BS. That's not Moorish science. That's exoteric. That's those people who you're listening to. We're not exoteric. We're esoteric. We're not mere Muslims. We're Sufis. Don't look at us like how you look at them. Do not look at us how you look at them, because you hear us say Islam and you see some people over there practicing something called Islam and we're the same. We're not the same in mindset. We might be the same in way of dress or, prophet that we honor or what we call our God, but our mindset, don't compare the two. Ever in your life, compare a Moor to a mere Muslim. Don't listen to him, Don Coombs. He's not understanding nothing. Right? He knows everything that's going on. Don't let the people fool you. They don't know what's up. Islam, the L of Islam, the compass and the square. The compass and the square. In ancient mystery, the union of zodiacal motion and declination was symbolized by the union of the compass and the square. The square placed below its typical of the purely physical union of the sexes. In astrology, the harmonious aspects of each constitute a portion of the square or angle of 90 degrees, semi-square, square, sesqui-square, and double square or opposition. When you draw a line between the 2 points on the compass and the square, you get the Star of David. Right? You get the Star of David. And then the Star of David represents the A of Islam. This is a science to Moors. Do not look at Moors. Do not look at us wearing fezzes and think we're just like some Masons or whatever. We're not, our mindset is not there. Our mindset is not in that place. Our mindset's in a different place. Why? Because we're Moors. So there's a big difference between our Islam and other people's Islam. There's a big difference between our Quran and other people's Quran. There's a big difference between our prophet and other people's prophet. Our mind is in a different place because we are the ancients that have come again, because the ancients of the Americas were the ones that in the story got knocked in the head and then they got buried in the shallow grave in the north, which is America, the north. Northern America, buried. And now we're coming back to our senses now. We're waking up to the fact that we're actually and factually the ancestors come again. Why? Because we're the ones that said turbans or fezzes. Other people, they got kufis and all the other BS that they want to do. Turbans and fezzes are the ancients. El Bey and all that, Ali and all that, that's the ancients. That's the frequency of the ancient foremothers and forefathers. Are they on the frequency? Or off it? A in Islam, the 6-pointed star. Again, the interlaced trines signify the triune creator, reflected in his creations. The trinity of nature is the lock, wrote Eliphas Levi, and the trinity of man is the key that fits it. The 2 trines signify the 6 creative groups, the 6 powers in nature, the 6 planes of consciousness and of evolution, the 6 principles of man. All of the principles are synthesized in the 7th principle. And again, goes back to why we have the 7 in the circle, the broken circle, the 4 quadrants with the 7, the 4 elements around the 7. Because I, self, law, and then the last one is the M. Islam is not a mere religion to Moors. It's not just a mere religion. This is not some, we're just praying or whatever. That's not what this is. Once you get through the I, self, law, am, the only thing left is to be master. Then remember, masters are more. It's all ours. Ain't nothing of this belongs to some European. Anybody trying to convince you that the stuff they have is not yours, that's their stuff that they got from some whoever that brought this down for them, they went to the Akashic Records and got this, reclaim your stuff. Don't let people chase you away from your stuff because it's in a different form. It's presented to you in a way that you might not really get. Right? They are gonna play you. We know this. We know they're gonna play you. Right? It's not that we don't know they're gonna play you. We know they are. Why? Because we were Negro, Black, African, and all that BS just like them. And look where we are now. Why can't they get over on this? I mean, it ain't. Tell you something. We were Black power for real. We were really Black power. Like the real Black power. I told you we had the mobile library and all that. We were Black power for real. We were African liberation for real. I came to my senses. Hold on a second. You're saying something not right here. I can't keep playing this game, especially what I know now. Right? Now people they're going to buy a Quran so they can throw it across the street. And see, look what we did to the Moors book. I ain't doing nothing. What's that doing? It's making you look like a fool, no different than your boy who shot up the Bible, tried to prove something. Why are you shooting up the Bible to prove something? You shot a Bible. Oh, you're cool. You're cool because you shot a Bible. You shot a Bible, so you're cool? That's what makes you cool, because you shot a Bible? Tripping. Tripping, these dudes are tripping. Right? Like I said, we're not mere Muslims. No, these Salat Moors. There's the Moors that do Salat, you know what I mean? It ain't no big deal. They did Salat in ancient Kemet. Like, it ain't no big deal. It's not that serious. Why you not going at ancient Egypt for doing Salat? How can you not go in at ancient Egypt for using compass and the square and aprons? But you're going at Moors and tying Moors to Freemasons on a negative, but not tying ancient Egyptians to Freemasons on a negative. I told y'all that we're Sufis. If you want to say Moors are Islamic, okay, we're Sufis. We're not the mere Muslims. Don't look at us like them. Because that's not the wave that we ride. Right? We don't ride that wave. Right? Right, to prove that we're Sufis. Remember, Noble drew all these teachings, right? And the fact that we're not just some kiss black stone Muslims. And nothing wrong kissing black stones, you know what I mean? You know, ain't nothing wrong. Ain't nothing wrong running around the Kaaba and all that stuff, but we know Kaaba is ancient Kemetic. That ain't no Islamic or whatever, but, you know, do your thing. You know, and again, it just proves the connection between all the cultures. Ain't nobody should be arguing about anything. Should be no disagreement of whatever. Should be no debates. Dr. Ben said Africans are Moors and Asians are Moors and Arabs are Moors. So what's the debate? The Moor just said yesterday, he went to the store. The dark-skinned Arabs told him, let me buy your fez off you. Matter of fact, wear that around here again, I will rob you of your fez. I'm going to bring my gun out. For his fez? Sure. 7 Sufi teachings to light your way. 7 Sufi teachings to light your way. 1, surrender to love. What's our first principle again, Morris? Well, everybody's going to read the chat after, so just so they can know where Moors are at. Now, one of the seven Sufi teachings, first one is surrender to love. Surrender to love. That's the first stuff that the Sufis are going to bring. So even though Noble Drew Ali talked all that Islamic Allah and all that stuff, he was a Sufi because he told Moors that the first principle is love. It's not some Salat stuff when you talk about Moors' religion is Islam. That ain't what this is. This is esoteric. This is not exoteric. As soon as somebody points at Moors and says, oh, look at those Moors, they said Islam, that's a religion. Know that that's an exoteric, civilly dead, incompetent zombie. So that disqualifies them to being a teacher or a liberator or help their people or whatever. Two, chant the divine name. Chant the divine name. When we say, oh, we say somebody's the father of the universe or whatever. But anyways, yeah. So chant the divine name. How much time does Moors say their prayer daily? Then Allah, divine name. And then go through Noble Drew Ali stuff. Allah is there all the time. And then El Bay, Day, Al, Ali, and those are divine names. Seems like he was onto something. 3, work with your dreams. Work with your dreams. Didn't Noble Drew Ali say if you wake up and you forgot your dream, put your face in your pillow, remember your dream or something like that? Didn't Noble Jolly speak about dreams and stuff like that to Moors? If Noble Jolly spoke dreams to Moors, and Sufis, one of the seven Sufi teachings is work with your dreams, then probably consider that as being right in line with what our prophet came and told us. 4, enter into devotion and service. Enter into devotion and service. Didn't Noble Drew Ali say something about Rotarian complexion or something like that, and uplifting fallen humanity and stuff like that? Wouldn't that be service? And if Noble Drew Ali said, study your Quran and treat your wife right and give her 8 apples and all that stuff, if that's the case, wouldn't that be devotion? Interesting. 5, revel in Rumi. Revel in Rumi. He was a master Sufi who everybody wrecked. Not just Sufis rep him. Let's just get a Rumi quote out there. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against love. Remember, we're esoteric, not mere Muslims. 6, dying before you die. We'll read this one. This one here goes in. Dying before you die. Sufis are lovers of life and do not choose which aspects of life to celebrate. Everything in life gives reason to celebrate. To a Sufi, each moment could be the last. So it's important to be present in all of life and to live as if you could die in this moment, with your heart pure, your actions good, and your relationships at peace. Right there, there's your freedom right there. You want some spiritual liberation? You want to eliminate all the problems in your life tomorrow? Have a pure heart. Keep your actions good. And the hardest part, keep your relationships at peace. And should have a stress-free, beautiful life. It is important to be present, because can't do nothing about that last bowl of cereal that you eat. Now you want cereal. Sorry, it's past. Can't do nothing about it. Keep going. Oh, and now you go in the future? Oh, well, the future is already past because that was 10 seconds ago. It is a similar teaching to the Tibetan teachings on life and death. Hold on a second. So if the Sufi teachings are similar to the Tibetan teachings, and then the Masonic teachings are similar to the ancient Egyptian teachings, and the Moors are the custodians of, why you guys don't want to be Moors? Why you going to be everything else except Moors? Why do you want to be the one that takes grade 9 over again instead of being the one that goes to university at 14 years old? You'd rather be the guy who has to do over grades and stuff like that? It is a similar teaching to the Tibetan teachings on life and death. Sufis believe that God may give us the power to kill our ego and make ourselves die before we die. Essentially, this is a teaching on honoring life and living with gratitude and humility. So certain people didn't die before we die. Because like one of the master teachers says, there's nothing worse than a slave with an ego. And you got 2 of them now? Oh. There's nothing worse than that. 2 slaves with egos. Because they haven't died yet. Their ego is still alive in them. They haven't killed their ego yet. And again, it's hard to kill the ego if you're not dealing with love. Because how could you be dealing with love if you're fighting against Islam, which means peace? And once again, we already know that we're not going to put this message out and this is going to go viral. There's only going to be a handful saved. So one of you 2 or 3 people out there that, picked up on the frequency and came back home to your nationality and birthrights, you're probably the only ones that we're about to get all night for this 2 hours that we've been on here. 2 hours for 2 people. Guess what? As Moors, we did our job because our mind is a whole different place. We don't need views and all that BS. You know what I mean? We don't need that. We already know everybody's not making it. And the last Sufi teachings to light your way. 7, honor the divine feminine. We'll read this. Give honors to all the mothers once again for making us your sons. Honor the divine feminine. Woman is the radiance of God. She is not your beloved. Woman, for all the 2 apple Moors. Woman is the radiance of God. She is not your beloved. She is the creator. You can say that she is not created. Rumi. Sufism has always honored the divine feminine. It is an esoteric aspect of an outwardly patriarchal religion. In fact, the divine feminine resides at the center of Islam. Some saying she is the compassionate heart of Islam. The divine feminine is in Islam. Remember, this is what these guys are against. They're going to tell you the black woman is God, but they're against Islam, which the divine feminine, which is the so-called black woman, resides at the center of that. You understand how they're playing themselves and playing you? They're going to tell you the black woman is God. This is all, remember, this is all the contradictions, but we're proving with Moorish history and culture that these people are full of BS. They're going to tell you they're against Islam, but then they're going to tell you that the black woman is God. Well, the black woman is the divine feminine. If the black woman is the divine feminine and she's at the center of Islam, then who are these people against when they say they're against Islam? Forget peace. They're against mother. And anybody against mother need to ride the mare of steel. Anybody. Oh, I guarantee you have faith in Allah after you ride the mare of steel. Guarantee. The divine feminine in Islam manifests metaphysically and in the inner expression of the religion. When we honor the divine feminine, we open ourselves to receiving higher wisdom. Sufism cherishes the esoteric secret of women, even though Sufism is the esoteric aspect of a seemingly patriarchal religion. Again, Sufism cherishes the esoteric secret of women. Women have an esoteric secret? You talk about Mason secrets? You lumped all the mothers again. Sufism cherishes the esoteric secret of women. Even though Sufism is the esoteric aspect of a seemingly patriarchal religion, Muslims pray 5 times a day facing the city of Mecca. Inside every mosque is a niche or recess called the mihrab, a vertical rectangle curved at the top that points toward the direction of Mecca. The Sufis know the mihrab to be a visual symbol is an abstract concept, the transcendent vagina of the female aspect of divinity. Lawrence Galian. Laurence Galian. Sufism honors the divine feminine. The mosque recess is a visual symbol of honoring the divine feminine. Next time you go in the mosque, next time you go in the mosque, you already know. Idris Shah. Idriessshah. The Way of the Sufi. Remember, all this is still Islam stuff that we're dealing with, that these people are beating up saying they are nothing to do with this, when this seems like some liberation to me. I don't know what any of these guys are talking about. The unity of knowledge. What I have learned as a Sufi is something that man cannot credit because of what he has already been taught. The easiest thing to grasp in Sufism is one of the most difficult for the ordinary thinker. It is this: all religious presentations are varieties of one truth, more or less distorted. This truth manifests itself in various peoples who become jealous of it, not realizing that its manifestation accords with their needs. For all those guys dissing Islam. It cannot be passed on in the same form because of the difference in the minds of different communities. It cannot be reinterpreted because it must grow afresh. It is presented afresh only by those who can actually experience it in every form, religious and otherwise, of man. This experience is quite different from what people take it to be. The person who simply thinks that this must be true as a matter of logic is not the same as the person who experiences that it is true. So the people who talk BS about Islam and they're convincing you that they know that Islam is some BS because that came from Freemasons or whatever like that, that's not the same as the person who I self-law I master, who knows what the truth is about Islam. It's not the same. As soon as you go with the talk shit people, you already played yourself, because they're not experiencing this to know what it is. They're not boots on the ground with this. But they know something about this. But they're not boots on the ground? How do they know about this if they're not boots on the ground? How? How they know about this? How they know about Islam and Moors and all this stuff when they're not that? You go tell a Chinese how he's supposed to be Chinese and see what happens to you. And we already dared them. You talk this BS about Moors and whatever. Why don't you go one of these Arab stores that you shop at in your community, talk some Islam and Allah dissing to them pale Arabs? How come? How come you guys won't do that? How come you make videos and talk BS about Moors, but you won't go down to that pale Arab at the convenience store that you just went to go buy whatever you bought and tell them about F Allah and Islam is BS? How come? I bet you punks won't. Talk a whole lot of BS online, but I bet you won't go to them pale Arabs and talk about their Allah to their face. Bet you won't. Obedience. If you cannot be obedient, you cannot learn anything. Obedience is a part of attention. You must be obedient to your teacher. From the exercise of this obedience, you will be able to learn how dishonest your mind is. Look how dishonest their mind is that they diss Islam, right? They diss Islam, right? I know they diss Islam. Don't they diss Islam? They diss Islam, right? Okay. Africa, mother of Western civilization. Dr. Ben, remember what we just read? Remember what we just read? Keep in mind, right? We're putting all this stuff together so you can see who the fool is or who the fools are and choose your teachers accordingly. You must be obedient to your teacher. From the exercise of this obedience, you will be able to learn how dishonest your mind is. Now look how dishonest these people's mind is. This is how dishonest their mind is. They're going to go around, make videos, say that they went and visited Dr. Ben. They gave Dr. Ben money. He was in a home. Nobody took care of Dr. Ben but them. Right? But Dr. Ben, in his book, Africa, Mother of Western Civilization, teaches. In doing so, the entire basis of Western philosophical thought, called erroneously Greek philosophy, has been demonstrated to be in fact African and Asian heritage adopted by the Europeans. The same being true for so-called Judeo-Christian religion and Islamic culture and religion out of the philosophical teachings of the indigenous Africans of the African Great Lakes region and the Nile Valley. So Islam came from the Africans? So if Islam came from the indigenous Africans, and these people are unapologetically African, why they got a problem with Islam unless they're sellouts? Why they have a problem with Islam unless they're agents? To lament and supposedly repent of disobedience may be considered a worthy thing to do. It is worthy only for the unworthy, those who cannot aim any higher. So all you aim low Negroes, it is worthy only for you to repent of disobedience. Because your teacher has spoke. And, you know, if your teacher has spoke and you're not listening to your teacher, then you're not obedient. If you're not obedient, then you're disobedient. If you're disobedient, then you need to repent, because Islam comes from African culture. Islam's not some pale Arab stuff. And again, this is not something new. This is old news. Y'all still trying to say that Islam comes from some pale Arabs? Still 2018? That's you guys' scholarship? You guys' scholarship is that Freemasons brought fezzes to the Moors. That's your scholarship. If you are given a time and you arrive at the place of your teacher early, you are being greedy. If you arrive late, you are being disobedient. You can't win with Sufis, huh? You can't win. Keep playing. If you are given a time and you arrive at that place of your teacher early, you are being greedy. If you arrive late, you are being disobedient. If your teacher indicates that for a time you shall not study, and even if he seems to neglect you, it is for a reason. This has often been done when study has become a vice with a person. To try to make him act otherwise towards you is an act of disobedience. Sholavi relates, I first met my guide when I was 16 years of age. He agreed to teach me and gave me 3 lessons. I did not see him or even hear of him again until I was 41 years old. His first words to me on the occasion were, "You can now begin your work." You can now begin your work 30 years later. Why? Because you paid your dues. Paid your dues. You listened to your teacher. You were obedient. Teacher said, study, study, study. You went and studied. If you haven't studied, you better go repent. Because when the great day comes of judgment or whatever, and they check who was following the stuff, whatever. You don't want to be the one. So I say Islam to all the Moors. I mean, Islam to all the Moors. The only reason that we do this is because we already know that Moors are ready to go home or whatever like that. We're done with this BS. But since we're here, we might as well build, we might as well study, we might as well, keep refining, because the mind is a terrible thing to waste. Mind is a terrible thing to waste. So Islam to all the Moors that were around today. Peace and love to the whole fam. Everybody that was in the chat. I realized quick fast how the trolls ran. They didn't stay long tonight. The trolls hightailed it out of here tonight. They weren't playing tonight. So Islam to the chat muftis. Islam to all the master teachers out there that's teaching and putting this info out. Islam to all the Moors worldwide that's been supporting Canaanland Moors. It's been supporting Moors Heritage and History School, RV Bay Publications, Moors Order of the Round Table, Great Seal, Washita. Islam to all the Moors who's been supporting the real. And oh yeah, cocaine is a hell of a drug, Seti. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. Don't listen to these guys. You know what I mean? If you listen to them, make sure you have earplugs. If you still think that these people are competent, if you still think that they're competent, if you think that they're something, then You need to go give your head a check. Go check your head. If you think that certain people talking BS about Moors and Islam or whatever, they got something going on. If you think they got something going on, the person thinking they got something going on, you need to go give your head a check. Right? Because trust me, these people learn from Dr. Ben and stuff, so they know. And we fools think that they don't know. They know. So Islam told the Moors, here comes the popo for me because these Moors got mad. These Moors got mad. They ran into YouTube on me. They ran into YouTube. I'm out of here. Peace, Moors.
Microphone fiend with the open throat chakra. Back to the past, millennium dope rapper. Fest cameo, no dives, no step. Improper person, no need to rap. Lyrical adept, one take, no prep. Think you're a baller, but you got no left, no disc jockey. Just shorts for your job. Stare me, got a looking 20 on your for a backstage pass or slap that ass. You should blow up cause your head's so gas. Not TO rappers get a pass, especially graduating from the Grassie's class. Are willing to wear big shades and tight shirts, showing me your belly buttons, trying to flirt. Pop one of the One Nation, that sounds Moorish. You could play the verse again, but here's the chorus. All diamonds are bloody, rapping blood clot dummy. All fiat is funny money, you idiot dummy. The mohawk is your hairstyle, dotish dummy. Jacking your own shit, rapping blood clot dummy. All diamonds are bloody, rapping blood clot dummy. All fiat is funny money, you idiot dummy. The mohawk is your hairstyle, blood clot dummy. Jacking your own shit, rapping blood clot dummy. I remember it hit me in 1995. Hip hop just might die if she does survive. Nurse her back to health and stages, but couldn't keep her out the slackness and hip rap pages. Kept it to myself, I saw you whispering agents, taking loot from slave masters, signing hip hop sages. Hip hop god looking down from the spaceships at rap and blood clot dummies, thinking like some agents. Only fear of a black planet if grips around. 911 still a joke, flavor cool and clown. My feet like divers just to put on the jeans. Skinny rappers got shirts busting at the seams. Can't walk, they so tight. How you gonna run from beasts? You got more nerve just walking down the street for construction. You're still chilling in boots with your pants below your ass, begging for suits. When you wore the same styles, they call you a biter. They used to only call you MC, never a writer. I'm running from rappers trying to give me a promo. A rasta might think I'm par with homos. Dog with a steak, I par with Negro, your Veras. Into black and white, you keep us think I'm with zebras. Getting it twisted, but it would be my mess up. Cause I let them do their thing, and I didn't step up. All diamonds are bloody, rapping blood clot dummy. All fiat is funny money, you idiot dummy. The mohawk is your hairstyle, dotish dummy. Jacking your own shit, rapping blood clot dummy. All diamonds are bloody, rapping blood clot dummy. All fiat is funny money, you idiot dummy. The mohawk is your hairstyle, blood clot dummy. Jacking your own shit, rapping blood clot dummy. Rapping dummies now call themselves hip hop. Climbing up charts just to make it to the tip top. Pushing the influence with negative vibes. Cash the check, but will never sever the ties. Hair in locks, but they speak dread in their styles. Flow with no content, dead in my eyes. At the cameras for videos, they throwing money. That's the sign of a rapping blood clot dummy. They getting fat, ignoring hungry cries. That's a rapping blood clot dummy in disguise. Rapping about Jesus, not Yahshua the Christ. Devils only grow behind chains of ice. Never argue religion, that's not wise. Rappers are ruthless, like some orphites. Rappers talk is not the road they walk in. Follow them, you'll end up early in a coffin. All diamonds are bloody, rapping blood clot dummy. All fiat is funny money, you idiot dummy. The mohawk is dummy, jacking your own shit, rapping blood clot dummy. All diamonds are bloody, rapping blood clot dummy. All fiat is funny money, you idiot dummy. The mohawk is your hairstyle, blood clot dummy. Jacking your own shit, rapping blood clot dummy.
WillOverLaw.com. Get all the Iron Sheik music. WillOverLaw.com.
This is very disturbing information, and I don't expect anyone to believe it. I don't expect one of you to believe what I'm telling you. And I knew that when I came here. I'm not one of you. I'm not a ufologist. I'm not a researcher. I have an obligation to inform the public, and once that's done, I've done my job. From then on, it's up to you, not me.
You think clouds not chemtrails, pomegranates seedless. Obama is seen as Martin Luther Jesus. For USA, but poor Prophet Drew and Garvey. That all must return to divine and fig tree. Moore's one green like Bill Bixby and Lex Luthor. Got moms in housing, paying the super. Slaves run the White House, no raking the lawns. House niggas striking, say they won't mow the lawn. No one slave trades, or youths get auctioned to the NBA and NFL. Move with caution. Albion hybrids wanna treat me like a Martian. My day to mission. Get fam on state Spartans, performing massacres without the chainsaw. I know this youth talk about brains more. Their pants getting tighter, hats getting bigger. Can't be pro Nike and Bun Hill figure. Can't have a picnic and not pick a nigga. Hanging on a slave tree like Six and Jenna. Still can't get along but quoting Rodney. Shot cause you fit the suspect of a robbery. Ring your bell like Sean, peace officers acquitted. He stepped on your shoe but his head gets splitted. Nate dunk 10, Superman dunk 20. It's been 16 years since I seen Lenny. Time continues if MySpace is invaded. Empire strikes back on tracks like Darth Vader. If you wanna know the price, ask him, he paid it. I'm living in the land that my ancients call sacred. I met some South Central and Northwest. Stop eating swan since the vinegar pork test. Stop eating chicken since it really wasn't chicken. If that's the case, what you call finger licking, it's not true, not true. Far from true. True. Listen, it's not true. Far from true. Stop, drop, and roll, fire in the hole. My chakras open, and I'm speaking from the soul. For the summer, but they speaking on the cold, like the sore on the lip. You let that whore on your, it passing is harder than failing or bailing. Just pull me over, cop and stop the damn tailing. Rihanna should have had her umbrella and started wailing. Without Bob Marley, Chris would be in vain waiting. Calling on Jesus, who just couldn't save him. Rappers would be laughing about the licks that she gave him. But that's how it goes, more money, more hoes. Bitch probably didn't have his money, who knows? He's learning from Snoop and other patriarchs. When the angel takes the key, they bang it on the ark. My goddess feed me grapes while I'm strumming on the harp. Rain causing flood and mudslides is hop. Nazis with paperclip ops. You think that it's cops, but it's coming from the top. Shit rolls downhill, you're staying in the way. I'm learning how to live in the system that's gay. Rescind, rebut, revoke the presumption that you're a slave master which draws slaves to auction. Rescind, rebut, revoke the presumption so you don't get caught up by their assumption. Truth. Deep incision, rapper inquisition, 100 lashes for tight pants and coke sniffing. Tar and feather, a whack rapper in Averex leather, pouring melted vinyl down throat for whack quotes. Draw and quarter, stacking up fiat notes of debt. Put your life in the vice of death and step to the guillotine. Draw the cord before you call the Lord. You don't know what I have in store. DJ needles and eyelids keep you silent in the soundproof vocal booth that I'm in. Bounded with speaker cords make you weaker. Crush your mic hand with the jam speaker. Take you through highs, cause bulging eyes and pop ears. Fire on you rapping quiz and girls kissing girls in videos and hugging. Getting off in some make-believe clubbing. Soldier boys, don't make me soldier boy. Like your mom finding out that you stole a toy. Don't come around boy, we bury some boys with a hearse verse. Lump your throat with a curse. Life in my hands like your night nurse. Subdue your dyke, cause I know that she can't fight. Not the men in black, but we flashing the lights. Convention picked my most step was tight. Rapper Inquisition. Rapper Inquisition. Rapper Inquisition. Hold your position. Rapper Inquisition. Convert to hip-hop or get deep incisions. Expel to the next hell, don't look back or return. You get chased down for that. Stomp the salt grains under steamrollers. I'm a soldier, not a soldier. Some say witchcraft, I say Obeah and Muldoon. Demolition man, carve the stone for your tomb. Whack rapper, wrap it up, you're so bored. Hold you carpenter, hammer nails in your. Two through your palm, one through your inceps. Fear make a rapper hear what he ingests. Fly cause of big shapes looking like insects. Rapping dum-dums, whacking up insects. Cause you deal drugs and chill with real thugs. Put it on the album, I swear it's bug. Putting business out there like we need to hear. As a listener, fake MC rapper, I'm dissing ya. You can get rapping after cracking jacks, or box on the mic, or backhand slap. When I flow as water, torture MCs, putting rapping dummies in their place like me. Out of the ghetto deal, race is me. A&Rs and managers want to face me. Writing out an order, give me an order, I accept it for value and you get slaughtered. See me in the bloody apron like a butcher. Off the stage in a violent rage, I push ya. I won't hide behind the curtain to hook ya. I'm the MC promoter that just won't book ya. Look ya, rappers fall more than rain. The Inquisition, hurting rappers more than Spain. And we're back, rapping Inquisition. We're back, rapping Inquisition. Rapping Inquisition. Rapper Inquisition. Just listen, rapper Inquisition. Hold your position, rapper Inquisition. Rapper Inquisition. Rapper Inquisition. Drawing water, you whack rappers. Yeah. Make it beat the vinyl. Most talk whack when they talk on wax. Mr. Talk crap and rap should walk on tax. Doing a song about Kobe, what's wrong with Shaq? Co-MVP acceptor, what's wrong with Shaq? Saw the title, wonder what's wrong with Mike. Lesbian stole the arm, what's wrong with Dykes? What's wrong today was wrong yesterday. What's wrong with truth? Liars got nothing to say. Spirits and bottles is what's wrong with booze. No code of the streets is what's wrong with crews. Too much bias is what's wrong with news. It's not the same leather is what's wrong with shoes. I could get shot is what's wrong with blues. Knowledge as a nationality is what's wrong with Jews. You're not Spanish is what's wrong with Negro. You're brown is what's wrong with black people. No energy is what's wrong with money. It's just paper and likes currency. They're not disciplined is what's wrong with youths. Safe sex taught is what's wrong with schools. Babies having babies pulling out their hair. But he's the man of the house in a baby share. Following myths is what's wrong with thugs. You're killing people is what's wrong with selling drugs. What's wrong with man? What's wrong with maps? That's not hip hop is what's wrong with rap. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? Messing with swallowing bird that give the flu. They give the virus and got no cure. Got you taking bait with no law. I'm the white man. What's wrong with y'all? Niggas are monkeys with thinking stall. Blacks are deaf people, and that's a fact with no volition. It's why they act the way they do. Think backwards and forward too. Pioneer clothes, that's why you have an awkward view. What's wrong with me? I chill with Jupiter and Esau. Who's more conscious than cooling black people? What's wrong with crack? It's not evil. Midnight lane against the pyramid, just the ego. Through deception, we still suffer slavery. When acts it's over, don't say maybe. It's old non-slavery is alive and well. But not honor poor parents is why we fell. No man is able to change my descent unless beyond God is Allah, his hand extends. The great sin to us is nationality and failure to claim a nationality. How far do the effects of great sin go? Down the rabbit hole, walking on gold brick roads. Patriot Euros, using our common law to call a birthright being taught in the lodge. Your culture was stolen in 1492. You went from being Aladdin to nigga Abu. You say it's a cartoon, but he's got your feds, and you got your mom stocking like caps on your heads.
Iron Cheek 7 exclusive. Iron Cheek 7, The Alchemist.
They rhyme making no sense to make dollars and holler. On our grounds, rounds leave Moors dead and parlors. So-called blacks call them cracker, then get called Canadian, and shun Moors that say they're not Canadian. This world is full of crazy men with no knowledge of self, but got the most expensive cars and flat screens on the wall shelf, going all the way to try to help you change what you won't. And I hardly hear your opinion of Marcus Garvey, but Steve Harvey stands out, true, coon, and jester, making a fool of you and himself for wealth. To me, those sellouts need to get bodied or exiled to Dr. Moreau's island with Gentiles and reptiles. Fake slave ships stacking bodies in piles, giving fake Jews slave respect, not giving me smiles, calling children kids, station after Taji guys, supremacy, use albino and half-breed spies. We catch trespassers with razors and mesh, pedophile, torture, scotch bonnet and open flesh. Traders get the shitty end of the stick, all leaders murderers should have been crushed with pyramid bricks. Huey Newton and Hampton killers should be in front of a squad shooting by any means necessary, get out the beast's belly. Why y'all get mad glory and your flows mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you into F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry, making me yell comments mad derogatory. Why y'all get mad glory and your flows mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you in F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry, making me yell comments mad derogatory. It's all about balance, my art the beam. Sellouts made it mainstream. Underground is almost unseen. Gay A&R signed the rappers' contracts in blood. Took his soul. Body didn't fall with a thud. He's a zombie, dyed hair, dress wearing thug. Burn that garbage, too much to sweep under the rug. Police can't collar a crime without snitches. You're lucky to escape the custody, not dead with just stitches. Make you hit your hair, take Hindus to Ganesha, possess ya, and raising your blood pressure. Anything to do with Moors, they don't want you near. Don't search where it's black, you won't find it there. No matter how much you beg, they won't tell you where. No matter how much you don't have, they won't tell you here. Negroes weren't the first slaves, no reparations first. While you wait for your reparations, it looks like a hearse. They won't pay you reparations anyway, only if you agree to make yourself black and gay. Instead of towards Moors, they want you to stray. Won't find your mind when it's in disarray. Thinking being European is the only way, hurling insults at your creator. She will get you later. Why y'all get mad glory and your flows mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you into F category. Most rappers' names on the list for rhyme pad or lorry, making me yell comments mad. Get mad glory and your flows mad corny. Your skin tight jeans put you in F category. Most rappers' names on list for rhyme pad or lorry, making me yell comments mad derogatory. What's the reason for the treason is the question and the lesson. I hear most professing, but really possessing, taking minds, messing with thought patterns and pathways. Nero wanna be a hero when they really cipher, not Neo, not Morpheus or Gillen finding Nemo. Selling out with no remorse, you and yours, calling you black, showing you who's the boss. Always marching but never thought sue the police force or do like Haitians. Add some voodoo, of course, you might hurt them unexpected. It could be bloody, feel your cells curl and your hair stand from walking duppies. Looked, all of a sudden judge yelled and wept. In court, judge with cold sweats and throat strap. He can't talk yet cause the candle was lit before I left. Forget Africa, hip-hop was the grand theft. Why y'all get mad glory and your flows mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you into F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry, making me yell comments mad derogatory. Why y'all get mad glory and your flows mad corny? Your skin tight jeans put you in F category. Most rappers' names on lists for rhyme pad or lorry, making me yell comments mad derogatory.
Yeah. You know, we seek that higher knowledge. Only the ignorant can relate. We just kill them with love instead of hate. That's what it's about.
We are Moors.
Shout out to the Grand Sheik, Cujo L, Iron Sheik.
We are Moors. Heard what I said? Circle 7 snap back, not just affairs. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Blue, white, green flags, not just red. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Keep talking reckless and move peace for your head. We are Moors. You heard what I said? The slave named Crescent have a Moor head.
We are 20 Moors rockin', you could call them Moroccans. Great COS adepts, let's get it poppin'. Got a problem with my sheep? Got a problem with me? I be on the front line rolling 23 deep. I be studying for hours, 7 days a week, working on my higher self, cause the devil don't sleep. Big ups to Cujo L, that's the Iron Sheik. 7's up, facing the east, praising Allah. Astrology, cosmology, that's the real law. I slow roaster, master the flame like Zoe Roaster. The rise of the new Moors, old heads move over. That Kundalini energy rising up like a cobra. This is training day, mount up with real soldiers. Elevate beyond the hate and claim your lost estate. The only reason you hate is you too blind to relate. The only reason you hate is you too blind to relate.
We are Moors. Heard what I said? Circle 7 snap back, not just affairs. We are Moors. You heard what I said? I don't rock a hat, just a turkey, no affairs. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Keep talking reckless and move peace for your head. We are Moors. You heard what I said? The slave named Crescent have a Moor head. Stop talking crazy. You can't be everything but Moors. That's like willing to stay minority and not mature. Therefore, Tosh to be they taught the world don't respect y'all. However, since you want to be it, you go down when they fall. They, the ones you call government, that's really a corpse. Black man means funeral director, should make sense of course. Music is the food and the message, the medicine. Mumble food is poison. I'm with the golden era veterans like Mark D. Condolences, QB, RIP Prodigy, who study the history of the Moors and etymology. You missed the Corsica headband disguised as a bandana. Moorish MC, the real Moroccan, not a French Montana. Kendrick Lamar, you Sarahite, trust me, Hebrew's a language. Lupe put Moors in his video, made the point vantage. Yassine Bey knows Sabir, Bey knows Moorish Master MC. Frupan Bey and Daddy IU are on some Moorish degrees. Spraga and Gujuno, they even killed Peter because of Macintosh. Still visit the double planets, hip-hop astronauts. Milky Way flow, raise up tassels, blind unbelievers to higher than other senses, to still pick up the frequency, pick your addiction. Truth will still make itself known. To go platinum now, you gotta give up more plus your soul. Watch Professor build pyramids, I watch Drink Champ steady. Cause Norby said Drew Ali on a track, so call me petty. Also Martin Moore exec produced the War Report album. Aboriginal Super Cat taught me how to hang and scalp them. Operation Lockdown, video feathers like I said to do. Initiate invasions, activate our doors every scoop. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Circle 7 snap back, not just affairs. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Blue, white, green flags, not just red. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Keep talking reckless and move peace for your head. We are Moors. You heard what I said? The slave named Crescent have a Moor head. We are Moors. We are Moors. Heard what I said? We are Moors. Heard what I said? Heard what I said? Heard what I said? We are Moors.